Well, it looks like Halloween has fallen upon the Autocraft server. So today we're actually not going to be building in our little Italian town thing, at least not at the start. Friendly has gone ahead and set up a little Halloween district for us to all build in to celebrate the holiday, and judging by my skin, I'm a big fan of Halloween. Like, I'm straight up a jack-o'-lantern. I'm the definition of Halloween. But what I want to do is build a little thing right here. So why don't we start off this episode by clearing out this area just so we have a spot to put our build. And wouldn't you look at that, we have cleared out a spot. So you come up through that path and then there's this kind of like town center area. And then I've cleared out a spot right here for a mountain I want to build. One of my favorite Halloween movies is A Nightmare Before Christmas. It might be a Christmas movie actually now that I think about it. But either way, it's in Halloween Town and there's a really cool mountain that I want to build. And I believe the theme we're going for in this Halloween Town is we're all picking like a monster to build like a house for. So, you know, me being very creative, I'm going to build the Pumpkin King. Don't know where I got that idea. Oh, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I want to put that swirly little mountain thing right there. And then we'll have like the house of the Pumpkin King. And then we'll have some like willows or some spooky looking trees to block out the area going there. You know, create a bit of an atmospheric environment. Now, with all that being said, this mountain is quite the project, so we're gonna need to gather some materials. Whoa, this is really spooky. Pale moss from the Pale Garden? Are we serious? Tough, kinda spooky. Hanging pale moss, also really spooky. Spooky ingredient day here in the montage making community. Shortgrass, not really spooky. Soul sand, really spooky and scary, and dark oak, it's dark and spooky. Wow, so spooky! Because we're building a spooky mountain, guys, we've got all the materials we're gonna need, so why don't we go ahead and build the mountain? It's like a lollipop. I am quite happy with how this build came out. And before we do the next build, I figured we can talk about this build a little bit, mostly because we are playing around with some of the new blocks here in 1.21.10, particularly the shelves. You know, it's actually the only block from 121.10 that we're using, but oh my gosh, are shelves a game changer when it comes to little shapes like this. Because, let's see, if we go over here, we can see it right there. We can move from the trapdoor up to the shelf, up to the wall, up to a full block. And there's technically more you can do there. You can use like stained glass panes to like try and pull the wall out a bit more and make it even more smooth. But for what I'm doing, this does the trick. And it's honestly really cool because it's got a back to it too. So it is a three-dimensional mountain. You can actually climb up the mountain too. We've got this sort of like grassy surface. I'm using tuff with the pale moss. That kind of blends together pretty well. And, you know, is spooky. That's the whole point of the build, right? Spooky mountain. But yeah, nice little mountain. You can kind of drop down here and go down the curve, but, you know, not really. You're not really meant to climb the mountain at all. It's something to just look at from a distance. And wow, lollipop land. But if you thought this is all I'm building for the Halloween district today, oh my gosh, you are wrong. Incorrect, sorry, wrong answer. Because we are going to be building, of course, the house of the Pumpkin King, the Great Pumpkin. I honestly don't know. It's just a pumpkin guy. Because I'm a pumpkin. Big creative man me, you know. So I think we can put a little house right there. That might be a pleasant spot. Because that way it's like partly in town, but then also kind of opens up the area. So we have like a little bit of a border when looking at this mountain. And we'll probably put like a tree here too, so we get a nice little like framing of the mountain. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and build the house. Oh, what am I gonna cut to? Is it gonna be another material gathering montage, or am I just gonna have all the materials? Let's see. Uh-oh, what's it gonna be, guys? It is actually neither, because the house is completed. Or at least sorta kinda. You know, this is a Halloween video, so we gotta do something spooky and scary. And nothing is scarier for a builder than an interior. Exterior stuff, pretty fun and easy, right? We just do a couple shapes and a roof. We've got a cool little chimney here, and we've just got some simple, like, stripped logs as texturing. But at the end of the day, the exterior isn't everything. We need to add some decorative elements to the build. And boy, is that terrifying. Ooh, spooky video, ooh. So before we work on that spooky, scary interior, I believe we want to decorate the outside a bit. And I think I have all the materials I need for this, but there's a new thing in 1.21.10 I want to test out, which is the copper torch. Whoa, it's green and spooky like Halloween. Torch is not the vibe, I don't think. I think, though, we can make a copper lantern with this. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't put it on the thing. Let me make a chain like that. Yeah, I think that's a little better. So yeah, I believe we can go ahead and start on the interior now. I do have some blocks that I think we'll use. I think this orange terracotta is very Halloween vibes. Halloween vibes. Oh my gosh, guys. Although maybe around the furnace here, we do a couple of the brick things. Yeah, chimney doesn't make sense to have planks here either. Let's remove those, convert that into bricks. And just like that, we have a nice interior wall. That way the house seems a bit more cozy, you know. It's a lot more small in here. It is off-center. That's unfortunate. Let's see, I think we've got some campfires we can just place down there. Ooh, and it's actually time for another one of the new 1.21.10 blocks. I think I want to use some copper bars like that. I think that'll be a cool little, you know, Halloween color furnace fireplace thing, you know, little ordeal. And then perhaps we can turn this area into a little table. I got this design originally from B00. It's a cool little thing in his forest that he has on Hermitcraft, and I think it's just one of the most pretty things. And I try and build it in like, or I don't try, I think I end up building it in like every world I play in. It's just really cool, and I like it. But you just do a couple of the campfires with some fence, and then you just put signs on here, and it's like a little like picnic table deal. But it's really nice for interiors that you want kind of looking like a cabin almost. Let's put some sidings here. That might be a nice separator between the campfire, not the campfire. What is this? Fireplace. The fireplace and the wall, the orange terracotta. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of what's going on here, so we can probably just, I don't know, shove a couple trapdoors there, make it look like something. That's actually a good spot for painting, which I think, yeah, we have wool. I feel like Minecraft paintings are usually like kind of scary, but maybe all the ones in this size are just kind of funny looking. Ooh, that's kind of Halloween-esque, you know? I don't know what's going on here. It looks like Julius Caesar being stabbed in Rome. Yeah, I have no clue what that is, but it's scary enough, you know? I think this spot would be another good area for a painting. Okay, yeah, I think that one's gonna be good. That one's also kind of like spooky-ish. And, you know, since this is the house of the Pumpkin King or the Great Pumpkin or whatever, I figure, you know, it might be nice to hang a jack-o'-lantern from the ceiling there. We can maybe surround it in a couple of these shelf blocks. You know, play around with some of the new things. Yeah, that's fun, you know, little Halloween-looking interior needs a jack-o'-lantern. Ooh, and you can kind of see the jack-o'-lantern from outside. It's kind of like poking its eyes out. That's cool, little window action. Ooh, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, I think some shelves right there also kind of fire. Kind of helps this place look a bit more like a mantle or something. Do I have other colors of wool? I don't. I only brought green wool for some reason. You know, that works. Pumpkins are green. We can put a little rug right there, you know? But I believe that's gonna be it for the interior. You know, not as scary as I thought it was gonna be. I mean, the colors are a bit off. I'd probably choose a black rug. I just don't have black wool on me. But, you know, a little playing around time with the new blocks and stuff. But we have conquered our spooky fears with this spooky house. Ooh, I do have some of these, like, eye blossom things, which are, you know, from the spooky biome. Does that stay open? Oh, okay. So yeah, let's put one there, and then we can put another one there. I think that'll be a fun little decorative moment for us. But yeah, I think that is going to be the house we build for the town. Nothing too fantastic, just a quick little build. But, you know, it gets the job done. Someone lives here. I could put like a bed, but, you know, it's a Halloween monster. They don't sleep, guys. So yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do next. I think we can add like a little path here, maybe? Give some people some more room to, you know, add to the Halloween town. Make a little path. You know, people can add in this direction now if they want. I want to put like a willow tree right here, I think. But before that, I've got some coarse dirt and podzol, which might be fun to texture up in an area. I'm thinking it could be fun to put like a little pumpkin patch here. So I might, you know, place just some dirt randomly around like this. Maybe we add another layer of stuff like here. Kind of give this area some verticality to it and make it look more natural. It'll help blend the mountain in with the terrain. I think that is all we have to do to fill this up. Okay, so now what I think I want to do is kind of just, you know, pop a little hole in every now and then and fill it up with some water. So we can till the land kind of in some random areas, although I am realizing now that we need to put dirt under here. So yeah, that is all tilled now. And let's make sure it still kind of looks like it has a good shape from further back, and I think it does. So all we need to do now is just kind of place some of these pumpkin seeds randomly. Whoa. Okay, that one grew pretty quickly. I think that'd just be a fun little thing to do here in the Halloween town. A little pumpkin patch. We always like a pumpkin patch in Halloween town. But yeah, I think adding little pumpkin patches like this is going to add a ton to the area. You know, just give the area some life. But I also have these spruce leaves, which we can put in the water, make the blue a little less harsh. And we can also use it to kind of soften out the edges here. You know, kind of make it look like a fence almost, but not really a fence. You know, just like a little leafy, bushy area around the pumpkin patch. But yeah, I'm sure once the pumpkins grow, it'll look a lot better, but as of right now, I think it is good. Although we do have these dead bushes. Yeah, and I think that's random enough that it should be pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it so much that I think we're gonna build a few more. And the Halloween village continues to improve a bit more. So we added 3 more pumpkin patches. We've got this one up front, and then we have this one next to the house. And then I've got this kind of like shrubbery section here, and then we've got another one right here that's kind of in the foreground compared to the one in the background there. So those are like the 3 we added, and I guess, you know, there's like a 4th here. So yeah, lots of pumpkins now reside around the house of the Great Pumpkin or the Pumpkin King or whatever, which means that we are almost done with our project. If we look at this right now, it's nice and pretty for sure. I am happy with it, but I think what would make this even better is if we put like a little tree right here. And I'm thinking we do a willow because, you know, that's sort of spooky, right guys? So I think the first thing we got to do when building a mountain is kind of figure out the height and angle that we want to go for. I think if we have like the main trunk go up to there and then just like sort of bend over that way. This has to be a little taller. Yeah, we'll have it grow up like that and kind of curve over. And I want a bunch of like this hanging moss to kind of block out the view from this angle. Wonderful. And now we just need to sort of angle it in this direction. Let's see what we're doing. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. So we would go like 3 here and then 3 here, I think. So 1, 2, 3 logs going this way. 3 more logs going this way. 2, and let's clear that out for now. So right now it's a pretty harsh angle. We go like that to there. That's like 95, 100 degrees. We don't really want that. So I think we need to chop down this trunk a bit and then shape it a little better there, because no tree is going to naturally grow in this shape. Okay, yeah, I'm liking that a lot better. So now that we have that, I think I did want this tree to grow a little further out. Yeah, I like that. Although this might need to be angled just a tad. We will make this a little bulkier because this tree is going to be angled. So we probably want some more of a robust stump here. I'm liking that. This probably needs a little more love. Yeah, I think I like the shape of that. We are going to want a second branch right here to sort of like balance out the tree. I am really close to Friendly's church. This was completely accidental. I did not want to get this close, but here we are. So we've got the main trunk there, and then we've got the like other branch sticking out like so. Yeah, I'd say that looks spooky enough. We'll round out the edges a bit as we go, but you know, just generally for shape, I think we've got it down. So the next step when it comes to this sort of stuff is we do the branches a bit more, which means we're going to need a few half slabs and a few trapdoors. Oh my gosh, cheapest block in the game, guys, trapdoors. Love using trapdoors. Now that we have the general shape, we're going to give it a couple of branches that sort of just stick out. So that's basically what we're doing with all of the branches here. We're just kind of thinning them out as they spread apart. And then probably on these corners like this, I'm going to just put a half slab so that when we're looking at the tree from this angle, it doesn't look so blocky and jagged. We round it out with some of these half slabs. Now, if I was a little shorter, this would be like a really cool framing of the mountain. But the tree is like one block too small to do that. If it was like 1 block higher, it'd be really pretty framing. But I mean, even right now, it's still pretty good. I will say I'm not liking this combo with the slabs and the logs, so we are probably going to shave these just so we have like a consistent trunk color. Yeah, that is unbelievably better when it's all the same color. Who would have thought, you know? And now the biggest tip I have when it comes to trees, and this will make people think you're like really good at building trees, but I kind of just spam them. You just make a lot of these fence gates and you just kind of put them where the curves are. And people, you know, just doing that makes it look like there's like dead branches on the trees, and it helps so much. And it's such a small little touch that anyone can do, and it's like great for building trees. And you can even do like flat ones like that, and it'll look like a small branch too. But I haven't even messed around with the number 1 thing I wanted to test, which of course is the brand new 1.21.10 block. That's, you know, that's the theme of the entire episode, is just playing around with these new blocks and seeing what we can do, because we have the one, the only spruce shelf. Because I would normally have like the this thing, but if we get rid of that and maybe put... Ooh, that's a little harsh. Perhaps, let's see, if we did a stair here, and we look at it, normally this would look a little too rigid for my liking, but now that we have the shelf, we can put that there, and then when we look at it, it's a lot smoother. So, shaping trees is going to be way cooler now with all of these blocks that we have, especially with these wood color ones. Yeah, I think that's just a much smoother transition. We can even probably change that to a stair and then put a shelf there as well. Yeah, I like that. But now comes the least annoying part of trees, which is the most of the volume of the tree, and that is the leaves. I'm gonna go with these pale oak leaves just because we're going for that spooky, scary, Halloween, spooky, scary vibe. Now, when it comes to leaves, the best tip is that less is more. If you just fill this thing in with like a solid amount of leaves, I don't think it's gonna look too great. And basically what we'll do is we'll be like, oh, I'm a branch. I'm gonna grow leaves in like this direction, a couple blocks. I'd grow leaves in this direction, you know, maybe chop off that leaf. And then kind of just cover this branch. And then we have sort of our like first leaf section here. And it's gonna look really flat right now. In fact, it's looking way too flat. I'm gonna have to change this up a little bit because I want a little bit of downward volume. Yeah, so you kind of just cluster leaves where you think it would grow on a tree. I know that probably doesn't help too much. But you kind of just have to picture a tree in your mind and be like, oh, there'd be sunlight here that I want to grab. You know, and you'd grab the sunlight in this area. Ew. Ew, this is gross. What the heck have I done? This is why I like building trees in creative first, because you're just gonna get like ugly trees. Put a couple droopy guys there, droopy guy there, droopy guy there. Oh, this is a problem. I can see the branch from this side, so we need to coat it up a little bit. Make that a little droopier, and then I think our shape might be a little funky. I think we need like one small branch going up right there. Yeah, I think that's a good shape for the tree. I kind of want to test this out. You can make some buttons and put them on, make them look like little knots on the tree. Yeah, I kind of like that. So now that we've done that, I should have in my box of goodies, yes, pale hanging moss and glow lichen. And since this is a willow, what we want is essentially what Spanish hanging moss is, and we'll just like bone meal that a couple times. And every now and then we should just come back here and make sure everything is looking good, which is not. I think this one's a bit too long. Ugh, yeah, this angle's a little too spiky. Hello, Mr. Barberman, I'd like an inch taken off the top. Ah, you took off a meter! What the heck, man? Average haircut experience. Anyway, yeah, I think that's a little better. I think we should be fine on lighting, but, you know, adding little splotches of the glow lichen doesn't hurt. Yeah, I think that is a good enough tree for today. I could probably work on this for another like 3 or 4 hours if I wanted to, but I think it gets the job done. Ooh, look at that, guys. The shape of the trunk from this angle, curving up like that, I love that. Oh my gosh. Safe to say, shelves are a game changer. It's just a shelf episode. Shelves there, shelves in the interior. There's no pumpkin shelves. But with that completed, I think that is going to conclude the episode. The other Autocrafters should be participating in this as well, so keep an eye out for their videos in the next like week or so. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. If you'd like to see more of my builds in the future, be sure to subscribe and you'll get them in your feed. But yeah, anyway, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful, spooky, happy Halloween.